Hey, welcome to Let's Talk Nation. I'm your man, Rod Love, and sitting right next to me is none other than the General, Attorney Greg Jackson.
Once again, it's on, Brother Love. Hey, you know how we get this thing started every week. Now, how's this weekend for you?
Man, weekend was excellent, Greg. Man, just got nothing to complain about, man. I mean, this was the first weekend after the election.
It was. It is. It was.
And so, I don't know, man, are we going to...
Does that make this the first Monday after the election?
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely correct. But Greg, let me ask you this, man. Today is a special day.
No doubt. Today is a very special day in America's history, and so I just want to say to everyone out there, Happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day, absolutely.
To those who have served and those who are currently serving, this is the day that we commemorate and say thank you for your service. So thank you to everyone who has donned the uniform of this great nation, one of which is our very own Dr. Light. Dr. Light, thank you for your service. Listen, if it was not for the brave men and women in uniform, who knows where this country would be?
You're absolutely correct. But Greg, on that note, there's something real special in this packet that we're talking about, Veterans Day. There's a distinction.
A distinction between Veterans Day and Memorial Day. There's a distinction.
Break it down, brother.
Sometimes people get it mixed up. And so Veterans Day, as I said, it's a day to commemorate those individuals who have served and those who are serving. Memorial Day is a day to remember those who died and gave their life in service to this country. Memorial Day is the last weekend or the last Monday in May, I believe it is. And so that's the time that we set aside for those who gave their life, the ultimate sacrifice for these United States, for this great country. And so we thank them in May. And so now is the time to thank our veterans. And so, brother, when Veterans Day was initially started back in 1918, it was called
what is it?
Yeah,
a mystic. How do you
Armistice Day or something like that. And it was to commemorate those individuals at the end of World War I. And so in 1954, thank you, appreciate that, Dr. Light. And so in 1954, the name was changed to Veterans Day. So
hey, that's some good history, though.
Yeah, listen,
that's
man,
a good history lesson.
Because a lot of people don't know. A lot of people, they just off the day and they don't even know why they off. And
they're just enjoying the day off.
Yeah. And listen, there's some history to this and some folks that we will ask you all to thank. So thank you all very much, brother.
Absolutely. Greg, before we dive into the big election, there's some local news, man, that if you don't mind, I want to just make sure this is dispatched. I don't know if you saw the article this weekend, article regarding supervisor of election, Glenn Gelzine.
Our friend.
Who's done a great job over there, man. I mean, making voting more accessible, man, heightening the awareness about voter education, information, and engagement. The voting OC Vote Committee that gives grants. I mean, you got grants anywhere from $1,000 to do year-round voting education, training, and engagement, all the way up to $75,000.
Right.
But there's another piece that he's done that I think has been absolutely terrific, and I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. He's also created a scholarship for Jones and Evans high school students that want to go to get certification, and they can go to Valencia College to get certification, Greg, in cybersecurity, one of the fastest growing industries and professions in the world, not just in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something that took place, man, which I mean, Greg, I guess I'm gonna take that attitude of sensational media.
Okay.
He got slammed for $2.1 million that's going to Jones and Evans high school students. You're talking about communities where a lot of these kids probably would never be able to get a scholarship to go in areas such as cyber security. Well, now, Greg, there's the discussion and talked about clawing back $2.1 million because it was named after him. But guess who it becomes named after come January 1st?
I'm assuming the supervisor of election elect.
So whoever's in that position. And so, Greg, I don't want to get bogged down with that piece of it, the piece of it that it would actually benefit thousands of kids, Greg. And just imagine being one of those kids that took up the opportunity to go get a certificate in cybersecurity and go get a job that's paying well. And so the long and the short of it is, man, and I'm going to just say it, where are those Jones and Evans alumni when it comes to letting their voice be heard to say, we want to see this continue?
So let me make sure I understand you correctly, Brother Love. So supervisor of election, Glenn Gelzine, has set aside monies or funds to go towards scholarships for students at Jones and Evans in order to participate or in order to get into a profession, cyber security.
Correct.
So that they can, start a profession or get in with the company where they can actually work in the field of cybersecurity, one of the fastest growing fields and one of the more important fields that's going to take place as AI and all of the other things start to take effect. And so you say that he's getting pushback from it. Now, we say pushback. Who's pushing back on Glenn Gelzine providing funds to students from Jones?
If you read the article specifically talks about the fact that this $2.1 million that comes out of this year's budget. This is not a reoccurring, this year's budget. So when you say who, sensational media, and then a discussion was, did he have the authority to do it? He's a constitutional officer, and some of the pushback I hear came from one of the candidates that didn't win.
West Hodge?
West Hodge.
And don't ask me how I knew that. I mean, listen. I know West Hodge. I think he's a great guy, good guy. He's a former, if not the current chair of the DNC, which is the Democratic Party here in Central Florida. And I'm hoping, Brother West Hodge, good guy. Nothing bad to say about him. I like him a great deal. But I'm hoping, Brother Hodge, that this is not a partisan move because Glenn Gelzine is a Republican and you're a Democrat. That's what I'm hoping, and I'm sure it's not, but I'm sure that someone will confirm that for me. But the other thing, too, and to your point, Brother Love, is the fact that these funds have been set aside for students at Jones and Evans, and there hasn't been any word or any pushback or any voices rising up from the alumni or the staff or the faculty or
the community
of Jones and Evans saying, hey, why are you taking $2 million from our schools that will provide scholarships to students in our schools?
And you said it best, Greg, and you're absolutely correct. But here's the back end here's the back end of what I failed to mention.
Right.
There's this attempt to claw back the 2.1 million to give it back to government, give it back to and so my biggest piece is this can serve thousands of kids. Whereas you claw this back into an $8 billion budget, where's it going? I mean, it has the opportunity to help thousands of kids.
I mean, what I like about it is that it is specific to a certain area or interest that can actually give young people a leg up. When you talk about cybersecurity, I think I see that our good friend John Burns has joined us tonight. John Burns is with Aggression Management, and I know that he is also very interested in cybersecurity and different things of that nature. Just to give you an idea of how important that particular area is, and the fact that you can give young people in this community, I don't care what school it's from, but since we're talking about it, Jones and Evans, that you're able to give young people from those schools a leg up in terms of getting into that career field, but now you want to take that money away. I think that that's interesting, but I'm also a little bit distressed, Brother Love, and I hope that this is not in line with what we see happen in our community, is that no one is saying a word about it.
Except us.
But listen, that goes without saying. That goes without saying. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because you know why it goes without saying, right?
Because we left all nation.
Well, no, it goes without saying because the people are tuned in to two of the most influential voices in Central Florida on Monday Night Podcast, Brother Love and Greg Jackson, the dynamic duo guaranteed to raise your IQs 15 to 20 points. And on some nights, Brother Love, they'll go to 25 or 30. And tonight,
It's
just
gonna be
might
the
be one of those nights.
You're right.
So if you want to be a part of the night show, all you got to do is hit 321-483-7002 to talk to two of the most influential voices in Central Florida on Monday Night Radio or Monday Night Podcast. We ain't radio no more. The dynamic duo, Brother Love and Greg Jackson. Brother Love, let's get it on.
But with that, Greg, I think we can move on, brother. Hey, Greg, you know, everybody's waiting, and I've had people text me and DM me and say, hey, I just can't wait for y'all show Monday to talk about the election.
Well, you know,
So
be
it's
careful
here.
what you ask for.
So it's here.
Yeah, be careful what you ask for, because a lot of folks may not be happy with what they hear. A lot of folks were not happy with the results. But Brother Love, I think if you go back and you listen to some of the past shows, I think this is exactly what we were saying was going to happen. As a matter of fact, the show the Monday before the Tuesday election, we actually came on and said, hey, there has been a shift in the tides, not just with the battleground states, but also with the popular election,
Now, I'm
because
glad
the
you went
national
there, yeah.
numbers were
Yeah.
actually going in favor of Trump, and we talked about that.
Remember, the last show, I asked you to break it down for people in terms of telling people the difference between popular vote and the electoral
Well, it
vote.
don't matter now because
One vote.
because people are going to say, well, he won the electoral college, but he didn't win the popular vote. But now Trump and the Republican Party, hats off to them, because they left no doubt. But here's the distressing thing for me, Brother Love. When we talk about, you know, kind of where did the Harris campaign mess up and all these other things, the really, really distressing thing to me, Brother Love, is that as I'm going and I'm watching, you know, some of the meltdown from the individuals who participated in this election or whatever the case may be, is that now they're blaming black men for Kamala Harris's loss. And I've actually had to have some personal conversations inside my house about black men being held responsible for Kamala Harris's loss. And let me just say this right now. Stop it. Point blank and period. Stop it. The people who should be blamed for Kamala Harris's loss is the Democratic Party. Let's not be mistaken. Let's not be fooled. The people who should be responsible for Kamala Harris's loss is Kamala Harris.
But Greg, right there, though, you saw immediately after the election that they were pointing fingers at each other.
And listen, but not as much as they was pointing at black men.
And black men, you're right.
And in
you're right.
particular, black men who happen to be Democrats, or just black men in general, because they feel like if you're black, you have to vote Democrat. And we were warning people. We've been warning people, you cannot just say because you are a certain race, identity politics, that you have to vote for a certain race or a certain person.
But
That is
Greg,
a dangerous way to go about trying to get elected in this day and age. I know that it sounds like it worked when Biden was running, but people have gotten tired of this identity politics.
Let me break this down for you. You had President Obama come out that infuriated, in my opinion, Greg, a lot of black men.
Including myself. I'm not going to lie. Including myself.
So you had President Obama. Then, Greg, you had other individuals Magic Johnson that was getting lit on fire.
Yeah, you had D.L. Hughley. You had listen, all you had were celebrities who are so far detached from the working man and working woman that for them to come out and say you have a responsibility to vote for someone and did not give any clear reason other than the fact that this person was a woman and this person was black, because if you say look at her accomplishments, let's not do that.
Yeah,
because
you're
I
right,
don't know
you're
what was that.
Hey, did you see some of the pieces where you and Greg? I was looking at all the different platforms where you had individuals that went up to the mic. What's the guy named Kurt? He's a commentator. I can't remember his name, but he had individuals coming up to the mic in a public platform, and he asked, "What was Vice President Kamala's signature accomplishment?" And nobody who got up to the mic.
Yeah.
So, Greg, I mean, there's a lot of things, man, that I think you're doing a post-op look at what took place with this election.
Well, listen, post-op, not just post-op. Doc, remember, Doc, we even said it last week, the fact that all of a sudden the black male vote became so important. Well, now, dare I say, Doc, and mark my words on this, the next election, people are going to be paying attention to African-American males and us as a voting bloc, because now they understand that we don't move the way that you tell us to move. And that's why I'm proud of what took place, because this is what African-American voters should have been doing from the beginning. Do not take the African-American vote for granted. I'm sorry, Doc, go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, let me say I owe you an apology about Cardi B.
Hey,
listen, man.
hey, no,
I know
Greg.
you didn't see everything.
Don't let him off the
It's all
hook.
good,
No,
bro.
don't let him off the hook.
Hey, bro, we go too far back. It's all good because I know you didn't see it. I know you didn't see it.
Hey, I remember what he said.
Hey, I caught a sliver and I went to look at the body. The body
I
just.
said, I know I didn't see this.
I'm like, okay, I see what Greg is saying.
Hey,
But
everybody who's watching are wondering what we're talking about right now. And I'm gonna tell it.
I said, now let me tell it. I said,
Go
that
ahead.
Cardi B was smart about politics because I saw a clip of her expressing some key points, but then she just messed it up by with all the. She went right back to crazy. So
Yeah.
maybe she just in that moment in time she was lucid. She probably wasn't high.
Something.
listen,
Yeah.
Hey, but you know something?
Here's the interesting thing about that black vote. Now they're blaming black men, but black men only voted 20% for Republicans. The thing is, black men stayed home.
Yeah. There you go.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't vote for Kamala and
Right.
the Democrats. They
But
said,
Doc, remember what I've always said, and I think that people are starting to catch what I'm putting down. I'm not gonna put y'all in this because I don't want I don't want y'all to get no pushback on this. But I've always said my right to vote is not
You're right.
anybody's right to my vote.
You did.
And if I walk into the voting booth, now at least I'll go to vote. But if I walk to that voting booth and I don't like anyone on that ballot, I'm not voting for the lesser two evils. And I think that African American males proved and showed us the power of our vote. If number one, we decide we're not going with the okie dokie, we're gonna vote for this person, or we decide we're sitting this one out.
yeah,
And when we
well,
see for the first time in history that the direction, everything was focused on black men. On black men. And then it got to the extent, and I'm gonna just go ahead and point this out. And I don't remember the guy. Is it Charles Heston, one of the guys, the YouTuber guy who started, and I didn't think about it till he said it. He said, do you realize
Charleston White.
that, say that again?
Charleston White.
Charleston White, yeah.
Charleston White.
Hey, and he broke it down. He said, do you see the women that were being put out there to win votes? And he started naming them Megan Thee Stallion.
They don't look like anybody in my house.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
nobody in my community that I would ask my daughter to look up to. Not nan one of them.
Hey, and is it true, man, that your girl got $10 million, man?
We're gonna talk about that in a second. Doc, you were saying something because we're gonna talk about that in a second. But you were about to say what, Doc?
You know, I looked at the Hispanic vote as well. And for the Hispanic vote to be 54% is very telling. It was even higher in Florida, I think. If I can't remember the numbers. But a significant Florida is now officially a Republican state. It just that's just how it is. You know, like I told y'all last week, I'm down here in God's waiting room. So, you know, I see it full blast all the time. And you know, you have to kind of explain them. I'm not your daddy's Negroes.
Yeah.
Down here.
Yeah.
So, but you know, we've got to learn that our vote, like you say, Greg, is not guaranteed to anyone.
Yep.
Hey, but you know what? But when you
Democratic.
But when you listen to some of the interviews and the interviews of Hispanic males and black males, and the topic was, were you turned off from Trump? And a lot of them said no, they were pushed away by the Democrats.
Listen, this is the problem. Democrats in this election, and I hope that they don't do it in the next election, but Democrats in this election made it difficult to have a meaningful conversation about our differences in opinion. If you said anything as a black person other than I'm voting for Kamala Harris, you a sellout, you a coon. They said all types. Don't say nothing else to me. I don't want to have nothing to do with you just because you said that you didn't want to vote for someone who did not have a clear record. And what they did was the Democrats created a silent majority because there were a lot of people that were willing to have a conversation about what their differences were and why they disagreed with Kamala Harris and maybe help them to explain it. That when they started being denigrated, being disrespected, having all types of negative things said about them, they said, you know what? I'm not going to say a word and I'm gonna talk when I go in the voting booth, because I'm not gonna have these people calling me a racist. I'm not gonna have these people calling me a coon. I'm not gonna have these people calling me a misogynist. I'm not gonna have these people calling me a sexist. I'm not gonna have these people telling me that I don't believe in women's rights just because I'm not voting for Kamala Harris. Now, y'all still don't know who I voted for, but I'm gonna tell you this: here in these United States, when you are unable to have a meaningful conversation, then it's going to be like this for a long time. That's what they need to understand.
But you know what they are not saying, and right now this is the disclaimer. This Dr. Polite saying this, not Greg, not Rod. The Democrats lost to me because they have embraced dysfunctional values. All of these, all of this gender stuff, all of this this gay stuff, and all of those things. Most people are like this. Okay, you're free to live that life, but don't tell me how I need to accept or be a part of it. And the Democrats have really placed that. Remember, at one point, they had other issues they kind of coalesced around, but now it's blatantly gender identity and all the LGBTQ stuff. That's what at the forefront. Nobody wants to.
So Doc, let me ask you and Greg. Would you say that? And I don't know if how I want to phrase this, but what I've been seeing is woke got broke.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, but also, Doc, to your point, Doc, to your point, remember they had a White House or a function or a party at the White House, and it turned into like some almost a Diddy party at the White House, where there was like this transgender guy taking the shirt off and all this other stuff, and it just got like wild in there. In the White House, the place of hallowed halls, it started to turn into some type of sideshow.
Yeah,
it did not become a place that we recognize.
The whole thing about the gay movement is there's nothing wrong with having your movement, but you move. I don't need to participate in your lifestyle. I don't need to know the details about your lifestyle, and I definitely don't want you putting your lifestyle on my child that you didn't make.
So the question is, did the party go too far to the left?
Oh yeah.
I don't think the party went too far to the left, but the party went too far to the left based on a minority voice. Mm-hmm. The individuals that were pushing forward those things are not really traditionally Democrats. Those were liberals who were doing that and progressives who were doing that, who are in the Democratic Party. Democrats, for the most part, are very conservative people. Yeah. If you look at African American or Black Democrats, which is what surprised me about Black Democrats, is that they forced African Americans in the churches to take certain positions that is adverse to Black individuals or any individuals in the church. But the Democratic Party forced us to take a position that was adverse to what we really truly believe in.
Yeah,
and that's right. And so because of that, and if you spoke against it, what they did was they denigrated you. They made you feel as if you were wrong, when in actuality, you were putting forth the values that you felt were true and that really and truly reflected your community and your beliefs.
So actually, it was that loud minority that impacted the major party, because that loud minority did not represent the values of the majority of those folks.
Listen, let's talk about this. Let's just get this out the way right now. What happened with this last election allowed something to happen that should not have happened. The red wave that was supposed to take place in the off-season election cycle took effect in this election because of what the liberal Democrats put in place. And so people need to stop blaming anyone other than the Democratic Party for this lax and what could have been a historic election. And so the Senate, 53, and it might be 54 now, but 53 Republican, 48 Democrat, or something like that. All right. The House, right now, as we speak right now, 214 Republicans, 212 or 202 Democrat. All they need is 218 to be in the majority. And the White House is now Republican. It was a sweep across the board. The Democrats lost, every single seat that they could lose.
It wasn't a rejection of woke, so to speak. It was a rejection based on what traditional values that most Americans hold. Because we're seeing it. Look at every TV show. It's all, they got a gay character. Now they got bisexual characters and all of that. I don't want that in my living room. there's nothing wrong with you living that life, but and I know that gay people are everywhere. That's okay. Proportional representation is not a problem. The problem is you're overrepresented, and it turns people off.
And turning
Every
people
show
off
got
that
a gay person.
yeah, but turning people off from the standpoint, I mean, and you heard it time and time again that you can look up an individual can go to bed a man and then decide the next day the preference want to identify with a woman. I mean, going back to the topic of I mean, and I'm gonna just say it as a father, man. My problem is that you can have a person who identify as a female going into the same restroom as my daughter that's in high
Who's a
school.
biological man.
That's a biological man.
Yeah,
And then
I have a problem.
and then sports. I mean, we've talked about all this stuff.
Yeah.
Listen.
But here's the thing though. Not just nationally, but there's a rejection of these liberal progressive policies even here in the state of Florida. Now, Amendment 4 aside, I don't want to touch Amendment 4, but what I want to reassure the females out there is that your reproductive rights are clearly still intact. What they were saying about Roe v. Wade basically returned it to the states so that the states can make decisions. Women still can exercise abortion up to a certain time period, which there has to be a time period, even in the states that are supportive of abortion. Now, the issue is for women is that women are an instrumental part of society because they're carrying another life. And so the question then became, when does that other life have rights? Even though someone is carrying that life, when does that other life have rights? I don't want to touch that because that is something that's up to a woman, her husband, or whomever, and their doctor. So that's something that we're going to set that aside, but I want to make that clear. But what about Amendment 3? The marijuana amendment. Now, the way things were going, I'm going to tell y'all, I thought that this was going to be the next Colorado or the next California. I was pleasantly surprised.
3%.
Pleasantly surprised that particular amendment did not pass for a couple of reasons. All right. And I don't necessarily want to get into that, but I think that when they started putting in front of us, and when we did I don't think you were there, but I did a voter form, and people kept saying, oh, we have to have Amendment 3 because it'll help to keep our black men from going to jail. And I was like, well, I don't smoke weed. And I don't think any of my kids smoke weed. Mm-hmm. And so what you're talking about doesn't affect anybody that I know or that I'm dealing with. Now, when it comes to medicinal marijuana, you and I went to bat like nobody else for medical marijuana.
Yeah.
Now, I think right now that it's being abused to some extent by certain people, but we believe that if someone wants an option between a manufactured drug and a natural product such as marijuana, that's a viable option for them.
And then the other option too, where individuals thought, and I think it's the famous commercial where you see this guy come out and he's looking at Amendment 3 and he get his gardening tools.
Oh, yeah.
And he thinks he can grow marijuana, and then you get this guy in a suit.
Oh no! What do you think you doing?
That was a good commercial.
That's actually pretty good.
That was a good.
Actually was pretty good.
Hey, he said, "Oh no, wait, we still control."
Yeah, that was actually good. Yeah.
Man, but so it failed, Greg. And can you tell me it didn't reach the 60%?
Nah, I mean, listen, it was about 3%, but 3%. I mean, listen, like they said, if you win by 1 point or 100 points, it's still a win. It's still a win. But Doc, let's talk a little bit about the Harris campaign and where the Harris campaign may have gone wrong. I'm gonna tell you the first place where I personally think the Harris campaign went wrong is by picking Tim Walz. I think Tim Walz was an absolute joke. When I saw him, I said then that this guy's probably the weakest choice that anyone could have selected. Nice guy, but he was. I mean, he walked around calling everybody weird. He was weird.
Yeah.
But let's back up. They lost because they elected Joe Biden.
Yeah. Hey, but
so
go ahead, Doc.
He was not able to build anything of value doing his. I mean, this is typical Democratic. It's your turn now. They take turns. They don't let the people select in the Democratic Party anymore. They have somebody. Look at Clyburn with Joe Biden. Joe wasn't even.
You're right. Clyburn brought him to life.
Yeah.
You're right.
And they told black people fall in line. And what did we do? We fell in line.
But listen, that's how Kamala Harris became the nominee. She did not win a single primary vote. She was put in place because they figured out that Joe Biden was going to lose to Donald Trump.
How many Democratic candidates ran for president when Biden was running?
Oh,
17.
16? Yeah.
16 or 17.
16,
Yeah.
17.
Who was the first one to suspend their campaign?
Kamala Harris, the very first one.
And so people didn't even the people didn't get a chance to choose their representative.
No.
You know?
But here's the funny thing too, because people think, oh, y'all just listen. Even if you look at what's taking place on the DNC level, Harris spent over $1 billion and has left the DNC $20 million in debt. They're still trying to figure out where the money went. She is now asking for more money from donors for her fight fund. So now she's asking for even more money because now they got to replace what was lost. Lindy Lee, all right, this ain't Greg Jackson, Rod Love, and Doc Polite talking. Lindy Lee, a member of the DNC Finance Committee, said she and others were misled about Vice President's chances of winning the election. Lee said she helped raise millions of dollars for the campaign and is now left trying to explain to voters why Harris lost. This is not us talking about this. This is the DNC now looking back and saying, what the heck were we thinking?
Well,
What the heck were we thinking?
Yeah. So, but Greg, you skipped over something, and if you would go
Oh,
back
yeah,
to
we didn't skip over- we'll hit that.
battleground states, though.
Oh, you want to talk about the battleground
Yes.
states? Yeah. I mean, so,
fly over America.
yeah. I mean, I
You got
It
to talk
was
about brotherly
embarrassing.
love.
no, it was embarrassing. I mean, I don't even know where to start because how did Trump win every single battleground state when the media was telling us? Remember what the media was telling us? The media was telling us that she was ahead in 3 of the states. It was neck and neck. Donald Trump may have only had one state, which was Georgia, and that that this Donald Trump swept the board with the battleground states. Donald Trump flipped Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada. He even got Michigan.
Michigan.
I mean,
But Greg, okay, I get that. But here's something else, Doc, and I don't know if you've seen this or know this, but Greg, explain 18 out of the 19 states that Harris won.
you heard about this, Doc?
Huh?
You heard about this?
No.
So Kamala Harris won 19 states, right?
Right.
18 of the 19 states have no voter ID requirements. You don't have to show a license. You don't have to show a photo ID. 18 of the 19 states that she won have no voter ID requirements.
So let me. I'm just trying to dive in here.
Yeah.
So there, you don't even have to have any proof that you're a United
Nothing.
States citizen.
Nothing. And those are the 18 of the 19 states that she won.
Wow.
So, I mean, listen, it was a debacle all the way around. But let's go back to the money that was spent. So when they're talking about the fact that the campaign spent $1 billion, by the campaign, I mean Kamala Harris's campaign spent $1 billion, and is now left the DNC $20 million in debt. Let's talk about what some of this money went towards, Doc. All right? Kamala Harris paid for support. Let's just get that out the way right now. So guarantee you that every single person that stepped out there to endorse Kamala Harris did so because they were paid. So if we're talking about Charlemagne the God, he was paid. Magic Johnson, he was paid.
Roland Martin.
D.L. Hughley, he was paid. Roland Martin, he was paid. Let's talk about Beyonce. She was paid to the tune of $10 million to support Kamala Harris. She didn't step out on that stage and say, I believe in this person so much that I'm going to do this just off the strength. I'll support you. Don't pay me a dime. She was paid $10 million to support and to come out publicly for Kamala Harris. That shows you that there's a problem. Megan Thee Stallion, Miss Hands on My, y'all know what I'm talking about. She was paid $5 million to publicly support Kamala Harris. That is a problem. Lizzo, who had her own issues with how she treats women, her own dancers came out about her and how abusive she was. She was paid to the tune of $3 million by Kamala Harris's campaign. Our good friend, one of the greatest rappers out of Detroit, Michigan, Eminem, was paid $1.8 million. Now, before I move on, let me thank our friend, our brother Armando, He's the one that got us this information. This is actual information. But I want to thank Brother Armando because Brother Jackson and Brother Love, we ain't know this stuff.
Yeah.
We had a millennial that brought this to our attention. But what it shows us is that $20 million between $4 million, 4 people was spent by Kamala Harris for their public endorsement or their public support of her because they thought that if they bring out the celebrities, if they bring them out, that it was going to get the black vote out to support her.
And when you talk about the money, Greg, I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking and processing what you're saying. Greg, was it any authenticity? Did these people even believe in her?
I mean, listen, I think they believed in her, but if you believe in somebody, you don't charge them.
$10 million, $1 million.
You don't charge them.
Hey, and boy, you know, the narrative out there right now is people are saying, just imagine how far that amount of money could have gone to improve. And Greg,
We talked about it.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about
To
it.
improve
Yeah.
communities. And I'm not talking about from the mentality of just social service. I'm talking about business, technology, everything. Greg,
Hey, Doc speak.
and Greg, that's what we know about.
Yeah, listen, that's not Glorilla, that's not Cardi B, you know, and there's others that came out on stage. That's not even talking about them. How much were they paid to come out and say vote for Kamala Harris because they felt that the celebrity endorsement would have moved the African American vote?
Hey, and paid
Why
millionaires.
did they think that?
Listen, what has happened locally here in Orange County? Remember, we talked about the hip hop politicians.
Mm-hmm.
They think that we are so enamored with celebrity that we'll follow and do whatever they say. Why do you think they brought Obama out? Why do you think they brought Michelle Obama out when we haven't seen them do much in our community since he left office? And some dare say that even while he was in office, he didn't do much for the African American community. Not my words, but other people's words. So they felt that if they brought out the celebrities, that it was going to bring out the African American votes because that's how we respond to things. We do what people tell us to do, and that's why it's dangerous to say who's the leader of the black community. We have no leader. They need to stop putting people in front of camera saying this person speaks for the black community. No,
You're right.
You speak for you, and you may have a small circle of influence, but you don't speak for all of the issues in the African American community because we are a vast community.
Didn't they bring the Clintons to town?
Yeah, they brought them to Eatonville. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know that?
Yeah.
Bill Clinton was in Eatonville? I'm
know,
not shaking his head.
Man, it's so much coonery go on. I can't keep up.
And Greg, and I don't know if you or Doc know, but I mean, we know Florida's solid red, but Orange County was blue.
Solid blue.
And solid blue.
Yeah.
And a couple of other few other counties.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the state of Florida is solidly red.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, listen. So that's some of what happened, and so, where's the other thing that we were talking about?
I know one thing we didn't talk about at all, and I don't want to back us up too far, but we talked about the whys, but we haven't said one time one of the biggest whys that people wasn't going down the path with Democrats, and the biggest why that I keep hearing is the lack of immigration movement from the party. That was one of the major issues.
Yeah. So the mistake that Democrats made is that they thought that Donald Trump saying that he was going to deport illegal immigrants was going to resonate in the Hispanic community. What they don't realize is that the individuals in the Hispanic community are not illegal immigrants.
Right.
We weren't talking to them. They presume that every Hispanic in the United States is here illegally and would be sympathetic to individuals who came here illegally, and they were wrong. It was a tremendous faux pas and a strategic fumble to think that, oh, well, he wants to remove illegal immigrants, so Hispanics are now going to vote for the Democrats. No, the Hispanics in this country are saying, hey, listen, if you didn't do it the right way, if you didn't come in and if you didn't put in the work to become a citizen of these United States, then yeah, you need to go back, you need to do it the right way. That was a huge fumble that was made by the Democratic Party. Huge fumble.
Well, and that's something that we didn't talk about. I'm glad we put that out there because that is, I mean, that's all I'm hearing.
Yeah.
That's all I'm
But listen, for me personally, I want to have this conversation because I don't want the Democrats to make the same mistake in 2 years. I mean, we have midterm elections coming up in 2 years where there can be a shift in the House and in the Senate, potentially. But if Democrats and the women voters who blame black men, or the individuals who blame black men for what happened in this election, want to continue along those lines, it is going to be the same, if not worse. You have to stop blaming individuals who think differently from you, calling them racist, calling them sexist, calling them, misogynist, because they just don't agree with certain things you agree with.
Great.
And I had a conversation with somebody. I was at a trial, and it was a nice conversation. And they said something. I said, "Well, tell me one thing that he said that was against XYZ," and they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. I was like, but if you listen at the news, they said all of the stuff that he said. And like I said, I am not a fan of Donald Trump, but I am a fan of the truth. At the end of the day, that's what I'm a fan of. And if you're being told something and they're not providing you with information to substantiate that, then that's a problem.
Well, Greg, I will say this. There was a great deal of dialogue that took place. In particular, a friend of yours and mine that went out and actually went into African-American churches this election cycle, Representative David Smith.
Okay.
And, he had a close race. But that dialogue was opened up, man. I mean, those same people, just your example, when folk are saying, that party I can't relate to, and I would ask them, have you ever had that conversation? Man, Representative David Smith for 3-4 Sundays in a row, and I know some folk are saying, oh, you wait till election time to go have that dialogue. Mm-hmm. Well, also extend the invitation too.
Yeah.
But so I mean, a lot of dialogue took place, and individuals like Representative David Smith went and opened up those dialogues. I mean, he was at the Black Man documentary as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think in order to be a friend to somebody, you got to show yourself friendly, and that's what I think we're gonna have to continue a lot more.
So now we have some interesting comments on the page, and I'm glad to see that there are a number of people that are not just watching, but they're also providing some insight. But our good friend Bishop Cal Stubbs, he basically said that the Democrats are talking to us like we were children.
Okay,
and I agree with them. They were talking like they were children, but they also Bishop Stubbs had no idea about the money that was being paid to these celebrities. And our good friend John Burns pointed out that one of the largest podcasts in the country that interviewed Trump wasn't paid a dime. To give you an idea of how things are done. So Joe Rogan, who interviewed Trump, who basically endorsed Trump, didn't charge him a dime. Elon Musk, I'm sure, didn't charge Donald Trump a dime.
Guess who got Trump to go to the podcast?
Who was that?
His son. He told him about how influential these podcasters were. So Trump made it a point to go to the Joe Rogans and different podcasts and talk to those young men that listen, those young white males that listen. So,
but here's the other thing that Trump said too, Doc. Here's the other thing that Trump said is, and I don't believe this thing that's going out is real unless Greg, you or Doc know something about Trump offering to help pay that $20 million deficit. I don't believe that's true.
No, he said that he was trolling her.
Okay, so he was trolling. Yeah. But here's what he said. He said they spent a lot of money on media while he utilized earned media.
Yeah. I mean, but listen. I mean, Donald Trump is from a television background. Mm-hmm. He is a great salesman. I mean, let's just say what it is. He's a great businessman. Not my words, but what I've heard. He's a great businessman. He's a great salesman, and he used each one of those talents and those skills in order to get his message in front of the people. I mean, that's exactly what he did.
And earned media, just in case folk don't know, but that's media that you don't have to pay for.
But listen, but Doc, you made a point. Donald Trump went to his son, or his son came to him, however it went, and his son told him, "You need to go on a podcast because there's a lot of influence on a podcast."
Yeah.
Now, I would be remiss not to say that this is a podcast. This is one of the most influential podcasts in Central Florida on Monday nights, dare I say, throughout the week in Let's Talk Nation. Individuals, if you all don't know and don't understand, we talk to a wide audience. And so when people want to get certain views or certain messages across, I mean, podcast
You're right.
is the way to go.
You're right.
And
Yeah,
I would say that if you're serious about getting your message out there, you might want to be calling, that's bad, that's poor English, excuse me. My apologies, my friends. you may want to give Doc Polite a call. You may want to give Brother Love a call. Don't call me because I don't answer my phone. And Doc can tell you that. Brother Love
Yeah,
said,
boy.
but if you call one of these two, I guarantee you that you can get a spot talking to two of the most influential voices in Central Florida on Monday night and throughout the week, Brother Love and Greg Jackson,
And
to
we
get
always
your
look for
views
that.
and your message across.
We always want to include the community and those who have something to say because we don't know everything. We tell y'all that all the time. So call us and get in touch. We'll let you come on. If you got something of value to bring to the conversation, we definitely want to hear from you.
And on that note, Greg, I don't know how many candidates we had on the show.
A lot.
And I think one out of all the candidates that we had on the show didn't win. One,
Yeah.
Greg, I mean, we had a ton of candidates come on the show.
Yeah, I mean, listen, historically on this show, we have had individuals to come on the show and to be able to get their message out about their campaign and about their platform. We've had organizations to come on and talk about their message and what they're trying to do in communities. And I mean, you know, listen, Brother Love, I mean, if truth be told, when people come and they sit down and they talk to us and they have a nonprofit organization, 9 times out of 10, you and me, we start stroking checks.
We figure how
Yeah.
long term, whether it's state, whether it's local government,
Well, I'm not just talking about the elected officials. I'm talking about when the
organizations.
would come.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I mean, listen, for the elected officials who come too, y'all better ask somebody. We write checks now. We write checks.
And
But it's supposed
I
to
go
go to the
broke.
right
He
people.
doesn't. I go broke. He doesn't.
We want people from every segment. It's not a Republican or a Democrat or a straight and gay. We want to hear from people that the community need to hear from. You know,
Right.
So we have to. We are the town square, so to speak.
I like that, Doc. I like that.
Town square where you can get out your information that you want to get out to people.
And I gotta give some credit to Pinto with an organization you're somewhat familiar with,
Just a little bit.
just a little bit, the Alphas. But also this past weekend, I had the honor to attend the Chi 2 Orlando chapter of Omega Psi Phi Founders Day ball, and they had their, and Greg, I don't understand all this stuff, but they had their grand boss, Mr. Now you got me drawing a blank. Collins, I can't remember his first name, but the grand boss man was here, and man, he laid some wisdom down. Ricky, that's what Ricky Collins laid some wisdom down, and man, I tell you, it was incredible. Full room, and I know that's not your fraternity, but the brotherhood in that room had Sigmas, Alphas.
Listen, man. I mean, we're all a part of the Divine Nine. We all started with very similar principles. So although, you know, I may not be a member of that fraternity, I very much support what they do. If those brothers ever came to me and said, hey, can you help me with this? Without a doubt, we would do it. And I'm sure that they would do the same for us. So, you know, listen, we joke a lot with each other. You know, we talk about who's the best, which, you know, that conversation is quickly ended when they found out that I am Alpha Phi Alpha. First of all, second of all, we shall transcend all. When they figure that out, then we'll have no more conversations. But all jokes aside, I mean, we all support each other, and, you know, big ups to, you know, to the brothers of that chapter and of that fraternity.
So, you know, we just got a lot of things going on. Great. Where are we at now? We know that the red wave took place, man. So what's next?
Well, I mean, like I said, the reason why this conversation was important for me is because Democrats need to understand that if you want a different result, you cannot approach the upcoming midterm and the 2028 elections the same way that you did this. You cannot yell and scream. I saw one thing where this guy went to vote, and for some reason he told me he voted for Trump, and the girl got in his like 2-year-old daughter's face and started yelling in the 2-year-old daughter's face because her dad voted for Trump. Now, he's a better man than most men, because if you yelling at my daughter's face, you might get drugged up and down the street.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just, there's no place for that. But if Democrats are content with allowing these liberals and these progressives to run this party, it's going to be the same result time and time again, because no matter what people say, they are not as wackadoo as they pretend to be, because there were a lot of people who were quiet on this election, Brother Love, after they realized that people were going to, say things or disrespect them based on who they were voting for, or looking to potentially support. And they just said, listen, I'm not saying another word.
They showed them.
And listen, when the election when early voting was taking place, I've tried to go vote 3 or 4 different times, and the lines were around the building at 4 different locations. I knew something was going on there. I knew something was going on there. And it wasn't something going on for the Democratic Party, because Republicans historically go to the polls the day of voting. That's really and truly what it is. They don't, but when I saw those lines wrapped around those corners, I knew that something was about to happen in this country.
Greg, it can't be minimized, particularly when you talk about the fact that this was an election that Trump won the popular and the electoral vote, both.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know, man. Hey, you know, I'm not gonna shift gears here, but Greg, I don't know what is going to be done, but I do believe that black men are looking at all of their options now.
Listen, I mean, you know, to include myself, I'm not gonna lie to you. I cannot sit back another election cycle with a party that takes the stance that the Democratic Party takes. Now, that's not to say that I'm gonna be a Republican, but that is saying that in the next couple of weeks, Brother Love, I am going to be doing some soul searching and trying to figure out if I'm taking my talents to South Beach.
Well, hey, Doc, you hear that? Hey, Doc, but I will tell him that this is an excellent opportunity. The environment is right. And, you know, I will say this, man, and I'll just be blunt about it. This is a great opportunity, man, for a party that I'm associated with to show that it's room underneath this tent. Come on and join
You
us.
see, man, you keep talking about this tent, but I ain't seen that yet.
But
But
that's why I am having a conversation.
Talking about this tent, I haven't seen nothing that can sway. You know, so I'm just.
I got you. Hey, and before I skip along, you know what? I want to give
But, you know,
respect.
I don't know if I can change parties.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Because what we gonna talk about if I change parties?
Oh, then you're right. Hey, go.
I guess I'm stuck. I guess I'm stuck. Don't help stuck in the Democrat.
Hey, he's not stuck. But you know what?
No,
you're a blue dog. You're a blue dog,
I'm joking about that, 'cause I don't listen.
See, but you don't point that out. You're a blue dog. People don't know the difference.
They don't.
Hey, let me give respect to the grand boss that I had a lapse of memory a few minutes ago. But Ricky Lewis, out of California, the brother was incredible, and I just want to give credit to him once again. The grand boss of the Omega Sci-Fi International. So he did a great job for their Founders Day. But Doc, man, we're counting down. What's on your mind, man? What is next?
Well, they're gonna have to rebuild at the local level, and we got to do something different as Democrats. I mean, the leadership tends not to listen, and that's the huge problem.
Yep.
They've got to go back to the grassroots and ask people, how can we help you? Because they've lost the working class. That's who exited, because you're too busy telling me about Joe can put on a wig and change his sex. And, my family and I can't eat.
Hey, Doc, Greg, before we run out of time, a good question just hit me, and I got to hit y'all with this. What does the Democratic Party do without not just black men, but without black folk?
I mean, listen, black females are not going to move. That's not even.
So that's
not right. Black women are always going to be Democrat. They just are. I mean, they're never going to have. I don't want to say the courage, but they're never going to move from the Democratic Party. So Democrats are always going to have the black female vote, and they know that. They know that. That's why they sent Barack Obama to say, y'all better be glad Michelle's not here. And I'm just like, I ain't scared of my wife, so you know I ain't scared of no Michelle Obama. I ain't scared of my mom, so you know I ain't scared of no Michelle. What you mean I better be glad Michelle Obama ain't here?
Hey man, he made a lot of missteps.
Come on now. I mean it's ridiculous. But yeah, but to your point, Doc, you're right. The leadership of the Democratic Party locally, regionally, and nationally, they don't listen to the black male vote. But I think this election is going to change that. I think for the first time, listen, and y'all go back and check.
I don't.
For the first time in history, the African American male vote has made a difference that people are feeling.
These people could be arrogant. They
I agree.
Arrogant. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to take 2 or 3 whoopings like this because they don't. Trust me, they got a South Florida beat down.
So do you
Yeah.
think? Do you think my party's gonna have to work for black men votes, or do you think the Democrats is gonna do that for us?
Nah, y'all need to work for it. Republicans need to work for it. Don't leave it up to the
I had
Democrats
that
to mess
question.
up. You know what I'm saying?
I had asked the question.
Because after a while, what's going to happen is the black male vote is going to move away from the Republican Party next.
And here's what I say to that.
So-
Here's what I say to that though. You saw black men, a percentage of black men that I guess never before that actually went and voted Republican. But you also saw a percentage of black men that we need to concentrate on to say, come on over here because they sat at home, which hurt y'all.
It did. It did. But listen, it didn't hurt me because I've been saying.
Oh, you know, I mean, figure, you know what I'm
You know what
saying.
I'm saying? No, I got, but I've been saying, and I cannot state this enough, Brother Love. They did not respect the African American male vote. They did not respect it. I think that we have given them a reason now to respect our vote. And I know that there are a lot of African American females out there, I could hear it, who are yelling, screaming, cursing, talking about black men. Don't blame us. Get over that. Blame the Democratic Party for doing what they did and forcing African American males to look for a better option than what was put in front of them.
With a $20 million deficit, I don't see the mechanism for them to start working for the black
Well,
man
they
voting.
better hold some fish fries.
You know what, man? I ain't messing with you on that, man.
Hey, you know,
Hey, but seriously,
Democrats
I
love
mean,
fish fries. So
but seriously, when you don't even see that investment made early on during an election cycle, how can you expect any kind of investment to be made to repair the damage that's been done?
Listen, back in 2017, 2018, the Democratic Party came into Central Florida and set aside $150,000 to attract the Hispanic vote. If we don't see $150,000, $200,000 coming into Central Florida to attract the African American male vote, there's a problem. There's
now
a problem.
I'm glad you brought that. How much you say?
That sounds like a challenge.
How much you say?
$150,000.
Now in 2017, same year, they came into the black community in Orlando, and guess how much money they had?
Nothing.
Nothing. Exactly.
Zero.
Because they think like what
And they sat there
it's
and
our
told
responsibility. Hey Doc, listen, you a black man, I'm a black man, Rod's a black man, even though he's a Republican, it's his responsibility, it's our responsibility to vote for the Democrat no matter who it is because they tell us to.
What's the black lady that was Donna Brazil? Is it
Donna Brazil.
Donna
Yeah.
Brazil. She came here.
Mm.
And
I remember that now. Now that
Yeah,
you mentioned,
you
yeah, I
know?
remember that now.
she
Yeah.
came here and literally told us, Rod, to our face, well, we don't have any money, but we need your help. But they had just gave the Hispanic community $150,000.
And you're right, but an important case, and Greg, I think you made the best case. If there's not an investment, and I'm not rooting for the investment, I'm gonna just tell you, but you put the challenge out there. Doc, we got a few seconds left. What's your thoughts?
We need that
You-
Beyonce money.
Beyonce money. Greg, what's your thoughts?
10 million.
Yeah. Thank you for coming out. God bless. Good night.
There you go. Now, Greg, you gotta leave him on a serious note.
I just serious now. Thank you for coming out. God bless. Good night, man. That's
Hey,
serious.
hey, Doc, he knows how to fight. He knows how to get him going, but he knows how to put him on the cliff too. Hey, thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk Nation. Hey, the election is over. Let's move on. Hey, brother, you don't have to go home.
But you got to get out of here.
Hey, until next week on Let's Talk Nation, come on, tune in. Join us every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. We'll see you next week.